Okay, everybody, this is factoring by grouping when we have polynomials that are four terms. So let's look at our first example. It says 4x squared. I'm sorry, it does not say that. It says 4x to the fourth minus 4x cubed minus 6x squared plus 6x. So I'm looking at all of these values, and the first thing that you always want to check, no matter what you are doing, is look for a GCF. If I look at all of my coefficients, they are all even. That means they're all divisible by 2. So I know I can factor out a 2. And then every single one of those terms also has an x variable. So I can divide out or factor out an x variable. And that leaves us with 2x cubed. And then our minus 4x to the third, when we divide out our 2x, gives us minus 2x squared. The minus 6x squared divided by 2x gives us a minus 3x. And then our plus 6 on the end, when we divide out the 2x, gives us a plus 3. So that's always going to be our first step, is to look for a GCF. After that, we have four terms. We're just going to group them together. Okay, here is our first set of terms. Here is our second set of terms. What can I factor out of the first two terms, 2x cubed minus 2x squared? Well, those both have a 2 and an x squared. So when I factor out a 2x squared from this first term right here, we're just left with a single x. And when I factor out or divide out a 2x squared from our negative 2x squared, we're just left with our minus 1. Now let's look at our second group. What can we factor out of the second set of terms? A negative 3x plus 3. I see that they both have a 3 in them, so we've got to decide, do we want to factor out a positive 3 or do we want to factor out a negative 3? Watch what happens when we factor out a negative 3. If I factor that out, that negative 3, from this term right here, all I'm left with is an x. And if I take positive 3 and divide out a negative 3, I'm left with a minus 1. And of course, we always want to bring down the original factor that we took out, our 2x at the very beginning. So look inside those pink parentheses, and what do you notice? Hopefully you see that this x minus 1 and x minus 1 are exactly the same term. And that's what we want to have happen. That makes our life so much easier. That means that both 2x squared and our minus 3 are being multiplied by x minus 1. So if I put 2x squared minus 3 in its own set of parentheses, they're both being multiplied by x minus 1. And then, of course, we just bring down our 2x, and we're done. That's our answer. All right, let's try another one. 4g to the fourth plus 16g cubed minus 14g squared minus 56g. Holy goodness. What are all of those values divisible by? Well, I look and I notice the 4 in the front. I'm going to look at all of my other coefficients, 4, 16, 14, and 56. Are they all divisible by 4? Well, I know 14 isn't, but I do know they're all even. So what can I divide all of those by? I can divide them all by a 2. And of course, every single one of those terms also has a g to the first power that we can divide out. So what does that leave us with? 4g to the fourth minus 2g, divided by 2g gives us 2g cubed. Then I have 16g cubed divided by 2g. That gives us a positive 8g squared. Remember, when we're dividing out our variables, you just subtract their exponents. Negative 14g squared divided by 2g gives us our minus 7g. And then at the end here, we have our minus 56g. When we divide that by a 2g, that gives us a minus. 50 divided by 2 gives us 25. 6 divided by 2 gives us 3, so minus 28. So I'm going to look inside our parentheses. Here are our first two terms and our last two terms. We group them together. What can we take out of the first set? So the first set, I can factor out a 2g squared, and we're left with g plus 4. And then our second set of terms, we can factor out a negative 7. And that leaves us with g plus 4 again. And of course, we still have our 2g that we factored out at the very beginning. We just bring down. All right, so hopefully you notice again that this g plus 4 term is exactly the same. So what can we do with that? This 2g squared minus 7 can be put in its own set of parentheses, and they're both being multiplied by g plus 4. And then, of course, we bring down our 2g from the start, and we're done. So now you try. Go ahead and practice factoring those two terms or those two polynomial expressions on the right. Come in and see us. Let us know if you need help with anything, and we will get you caught up. Have a good day.